I got a couple questions for Bob. The first one is, I think Russ was touching on this story earlier, is who came up with the, and we'll be vague again because it's, I think, next episode, the Mersey notes. I also am curious, was there a way to balance the sort of the lightness and the sometimes silliness of the show, and then still find ways just to make it terrifying as hell? So.
Yeah, music's a big part of that. Yeah, I think that's. But Mersey Notes is, I think I came up with that. There's not a lot I came up with, but I think that's from Bob Hope and Bing Crosby, right? That's where we got that. Yeah, I think the show, I guess, defines. Going back to this is before HBO. There been HBO or Showtime Rentals, we'd probably still be on. It defines quirky. You know what I mean? That's really and it's a very weird thing to figure out how we did that. But it could turn on a dime. Do you know what I mean? It could be from something really funny and stupid and really stupid and silly. Like Andy spelunking. You saw that one, right? At the sheriff's station. Like, what the fuck is that? And that's a really scary episode, right? So I mean, it's a genre that David and Mark invented, I think, and I think that's where that comes from.
And it's being so true to the moment. It felt to me as sort of an onlooker. I mean, I'm involved, but really, you guys were just so true to every moment, and you didn't follow some stupid formula of, oh, we're dramatic, or oh, now it's time to be funny, and oh, now it's time for just every scene, every moment. You just were true to it. I think that's why you got to really balance it all.
It's like a dream in so many ways. I keep saying that, but it's like dreams where it's really funny and then suddenly something awful happens in a dream. It's very much like that. I mean, it's all like that. I think that's what makes it so special. It just seems so. You know what I mean? Yeah. So unique.
Without giving away anything about the prequel, so much of the first season is about Laura and the tapes she's making to Dr. Jacoby, but you're AWOL in the prequel, which tells the last 7 days of Laura's life. I was just curious why Dr. Jacoby wasn't a bigger part of the prequel. I don't know if it was a scheduling conflict for you or if it was a direction just to steer it away from that character. The other question I had is for Dana. I don't know if you were here for any of the screenings tonight, but at the end of the next to last episode that we saw, you're stalking James near the gazebo, and instead of the natural reaction that I would have, which would be, oh my God, there's my dead girlfriend, you just leave when James leaves. I was just curious.
That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened.
If as you shot it, if there was any direction that, oh, you're not supposed to see Maddie is dressed up as Laura, or what the situation was.
I don't even remember. I honestly don't remember whether I was supposed to know that it was her or whether not. I remember, this is what I remember about that night. It was like, I had one shot to do, and it was that reaction shot, and then I had to run off, and I had to wait all night, because they were shooting all the other stuff, and all they had was one little thing for me, and so by the time it got to me, I don't even know, I don't remember whether I was supposed to know it was Laura or not. I really don't know. So, that's fine.
The character of Dr. Jacoby is noticeably absent from the prequel.
Yeah, not in the Fire Walk with Me. Why was Jacoby in Fire Walk with Me?
Oh, I was. He cut me out.
Me too. I got
one
cut out
scene
too.
He cut several people out. I wasn't the only one.
Yeah, I got stuff cut too out of it. It was, yeah.
According to Mark Frost, the deleted scenes are with the lawyers now. True?
What?
The last panel discussion, Mark Frost said that there is that they're sitting down with some lawyers about trying to get the deleted scenes finally released.
Oh, really? Wow.
I'm not sure if that means reincorporated or at least presented on their own.
I mean, the process of the movie just got smaller and smaller by virtue of how much time you get in the movie theater. I mean, initially we were going to have an intermission. So there's lots of stuff, wonderful stuff that's shot. But some of it I always thought didn't exist anymore, but that's nice to hear. But it just was really a case of it just had to get smaller and smaller. But he did call everybody, which is another thing, speaking of how show business works, and that I sat with David, we were writing something else, and one afternoon he called every person that got cut out of the movie, called him personally and said, it's not you, it's probably my mistake. Of course it isn't. Do you know what I mean? So gracious and just really, it was a wonderful thing to see somebody do, because it's a hard thing to do, to call somebody up and say, you're not in it.
Russ, then do you remember, was your scene with Cheryl? Because obviously so many of the recordings are her confessing and making these monologues.
What was the scene? That got cut? Do you remember?
I don't remember it. I remember that it was like a phone scene. I think it was on the phone. It was just a quick scene.
We forgot to put the stoplight in the script of the movie. We finished everything about 2 in the morning, and then the French we were gonna FedEx it to France, and we were getting up the script, and we had the whole script finished. And I was about to go, and David said, "Oh, we forgot to put the stoplight in. It's not in the script." So I went back and I took the script and I started fanning it out, and David went like that. So that's where it goes, right? So, because the stoplight is a counterpoint, right? You can put it anywhere, right? That's what's kind of another wonderful thing about that series. Suddenly the stoplight would be there, and people go, "Oh God, the stoplight!" It has wonderful, just simple, really technical tricks like that. You don't have to go there. The other one you see all the way through the series is that if a scene isn't working or is too slow, most people will find a way to try to cut around the scene, take pieces out. David, if you notice in the series, suddenly we're outside, right? Suddenly he has an establishing shot, then he goes back into the scene again, and he's taking stuff out. It's an amazing thing he thought out. There's lots of those.
So, do we have 2 more questions? Okay, so we'll take 2 final questions.
Hi guys, I have a film school question. One of the things we study is this whole thing of character, and sometimes we learn, well, you need to learn these 50 things about your character, or you need to know basically these 2 things about your character. And so I'm wondering, for each of you, what do you feel like is the most important thing you need to know about your character before you can make them alive?
Really good question. And I guess I would always start with whatever the situation that the character is in. How did they get in it? I usually always come up with some backstory of, how they're going to relate to that, how they're going to react to it. Do they come from an insecure place, or place of survival, or whatever it was. For Shelly, for me, it was really struggling with how in the world is this girl still in this little town being abused by this guy and still in love with this guy right here. And I just had to keep going with, she just has this thing for bad boys. It's probably some absent father, or something she's replacing in her past.
Did you ever create a sense of what little romance there must have been with Leo in the beginning?
Yeah, no, I had to, because it didn't make sense to me. And so I really sort of felt like it probably was a lot like she and Bobby, back when he was this, hot rod bad boy that just would take her out of school, and they'd go driving around, and she just felt like she was on top of the world. And little by little, his obsessiveness and being possessive just crept up on her to the point where she was stuck. She was now out of school, and she didn't have family to fall back on, and she just was stuck. And so then escaping that, reliving that same idea with Bobby was sort of her way to survive.
Dr. Jacoby's character was, I think at the end of the first season or something, I think that my character was voted one of the main possibilities of the killer, of being the killer. So a lot of my scenes, I think, were that I was purposely made a red herring. And so people thought that I might have done it, but in actuality, Dr. Jacoby was really cared deeply about Laura. He may even have been in love with her, but you know, never did anything. But he really cared about her a lot, and I think that was what I had to think about a lot with my character. Trying to switch it from being this, as eccentric as he was basically humane, and he wasn't really deceitful, and he didn't have any really evil intentions.
And just as far as like characters for you know, like how do you come up with a character, or how do you like what are the questions you ask yourself, or whatever. Yeah, it's different for everybody, I think, but I think really just sort of sticking with the truth of the script, you know, and what she's talking about, like the situation you're in. Like, you need to take that, and it's sort of a simple game, like a child's game, like kids play make believe. You know, when you tell them that you know you're gonna play like you're king and queen, you're in the castle. They don't need to know 10 things about the king, like, well, how did he become a king? Why is he the king? Is he happy being the king? Is he, you know, they're just the king. You know, you don't always need to overanalyze everything. And I think, you know,
But some people do.
Yeah, some people do, and they're great, and they, you know, it's just different ways of working and stuff like that, you know. But I'd say just sort of try to stick true to the material. That's my always just the material.
I felt completely protected by Major Briggs, completely taken care of, loved, that he always took care of everything. I didn't have to take care of anything except just be optimistic, and everything was going to be fine. We're here for you, Bobby. No, I mean, it was that simple. They didn't go into a lot of detail with, you know, our family. There's scenes coming up in the next episodes where it changes a little bit, and you really see their love story. In one scene, you really see their love story. But I always felt that, you know, she just felt very loved and protected, and that's all she needed to take care of her family. That's all it took.
I always find that costumes help a lot. Once you see yourself in that costume, and particularly for Trudy, which was just this small little character, but great big beehive, kind of said it all, I thought. That, and she had a pen that never worked. And, you know, as you were saying, physicality is big, you know. A lot of humor comes out of that. And what you wear, what you look like. You see yourself in a mirror and you're a different person. So I like that. And, of course, revere the writing.
But I will say, too, just like as for a character, that you don't always get great material as an actor. And I think that when you don't have good material, you then have to come up with your 50 list of what your character's all about, because it's your responsibility to make that character good. If the material's there, then it's kind of laid out for you, and it's kind of easy, and you feel it, and it's organic, and you can kind of flow with it. If it's not the great material, and you need to do the job, then you create it. So I think it kind of really varies on the material. That's the reality of it.
And I think actors like Mädchen, like people that can realize that and see the material, and it's like they can rise above like bad material. That's an art. I mean,
That's
being able to
technique.
do that is an art. It's not easy.
The show is pioneering, but it also remains unique in the sense of being instantly iconic, both the show and the actors, as well as their chemistry, and also of being a soap opera of the subconscious. I can't think of any other show that would fit into that category. So what is your sense of what made it resonate so profoundly in the culture? And as you indicated, I think another unique aspect is that the show led the marketing rather than the marketing leading the show. So in other words, it found a home in the culture despite being profoundly weird and not similar to 30-something or Melrose Place or anything else on TV. So then and now, as writers and actors, what do you think made it so unique? And what made it resonate? And why has it stayed so unique 20 years later? Thank you.
David Lynch.
You can't top that.
Well, I guess on that note, thank you guys so much for coming out tonight.